This is Sky News at 10. The headlines. The new boss of the TUC accuses the government of sabotaging talks aimed at ending the UK's wave of winter strikes.
Now's the time for government to not act as a barrier to a settlement, but to actually facilitate the settlement. And the only way they're going to do that is by sitting around the table and reaching a compromise and reaching an agreement.
Ukraine says Russia has unleashed a new barrage of missile strikes targeting cities across the country. The UK says it has no plans to test people arriving from China for COVID as the US joins other countries in announcing restrictions. A third person is arrested by police investigating the murder of Ellie Edwards outside a pub on the Wirral. And why the UK might feel some effects of the weather bomb cyclone that's hit the US, leaving dozens. Good morning. One of the UK's most senior union leaders has accused ministers of sabotaging pay negotiations with striking workers. Nurses and rail workers are planning more strikes in the new year, while firefighters are being balloted on industrial action. The new leader of the Trades Unions Congress has told Sky News that ministers must stop being a barrier to progress in talks aimed at averting more strikes.
I feel that they have been sabotaging it, right from our railways, where initially ministers said they had no responsibility for those negotiations at all, then had to fess up that actually they did have a responsibility. They threw in conditions at the last minute, I think, that scuppered a deal and rail that was within grasp a few weeks ago. But look at what happened last week in the health service. In the midst of a pay dispute, Stephen Barclay, the health secretary, said he'd talk about anything with unions except pay. I mean, that just doesn't make sense whatsoever, and I think it's a real slap in the face for those NHS staff who just felt they had no alternative but to take strike action. So now's the time for government to not act as a barrier to a settlement, but to actually facilitate the settlement. And the only way they're going to do that is by sitting around the table and reaching a compromise and reaching an agreement.
Well, let's go live now to Westminster and our political correspondent, Mary Aurora. Mary, the unions are accusing the government of not engaging, even sabotaging these talks. I mean, is the ball now in the government's court?
Well, to an extent, yes, but I would say this is the kind of continuation of the blame game that we have already been seeing over the past few weeks between the unions and the government. The government trying to paint a picture that the unions are to blame, the unions trying to paint a picture that the government are to blame. So I don't think it's necessarily as surprising, even though the language is quite inflammatory, the language is quite antagonistic. I think it's something that we would expect to hear from unions, and I think the unions are very, very keen to try and get that message out to the public that it's the government that is really getting in the way and, as you say, kind of sabotaging and scuppering plans that maybe a negotiation, a compromise on pay could have been found. What was interesting as well in that interview with Paul Nowak earlier this morning was you saw from that clip, you talked about how the NHS felt there was a slap in the face when it comes to Steve Barclay not willing to negotiate on pay, but willing to negotiate on other things, which obviously is not necessarily as useful when we realistically know the majority of these strikes are about pay. And he also, there were some other interesting accusations flying around. He accused the government of basically opening the borders in the airports because border force workers were striking, and therefore the military weren't actually able to hold people. They don't have those powers in the way that border force officers do have as well. Now, it was also interesting, he was asked about synchronisation, coordinated action when it comes to multiple strikes, different unions kind of teaming up and having conversations. And he did say it did make sense in some circumstances for unions to be speaking and potentially collaborating on strike action. So I think it's realistically quite a realistic possibility that we're going to see coordinated strike action in the new year, really ramping up the kind of stakes for the government. So in a way, I think you're right. I think the ball is in Rishi Sunak's court to an extent. The question is, will he want to play that ball, or will he want just to hang on to that ball? We know that the government are trying to stick to their guns on this. They're trying to say that the independent pay review body, that is there for a reason. The pay parameters are there for a reason, and then it will be renegotiated in April when there's that new pay review. So the question is, with the disruption that is due to happen in January, maybe even further into February, we don't know how long these strikes are going to go on for. Will the pressure build on the government to do something if the unions look like they're not budging? We'll just have to see how much political capital Rishi Sunak has, and therefore how long he can weather the storm.
OK, Mary Aurora there, keeping us up to date from Westminster. Mary, thank you. Well, let's remind you of the strikes which are happening in this week into January. Passengers are bracing themselves for more travel disruption as rail strikes continue today. 6 major airports and the Port of Newhaven are being hit by the walkout by Border Force staff, while highway workers will walk out tomorrow and on New Year's Eve. Bus drivers in South and West London will also walk out again on New Year's Eve. And the January strikes confirmed so far include rail workers between the 3rd and the 7th, and workers on the Elizabeth line on the 12th. London bus drivers will walk out on 8 days throughout the month. Highway workers and driving examiners will be back on strike in the first week of the new year. Paramedics will walk out on the 11th and 23rd, and nurses will strike again on the 18th and 19th of January. Now, Ukraine says major cities have been targeted in a fresh wave of Russian missile strikes. Ukrainian officials say more than 120 missiles have been launched at targets across the country. Kiev is among the cities targeted. Mayor Vitaly Klitschko says 3 people have been injured. Ukraine also says the city of Kharkiv was targeted, as was Odessa. The mayor in the city of Lviv says 90% of the city is without electricity, and there have been reports of explosions in Zhytomyr, with rockets downed in Mykolaiv, as well as the northeastern Sumy region. Well, the military expert, retired Air Vice Marshal Sean Bell, says the Russians seem to be targeting energy infrastructure to try to stall the Ukrainian war effort.
With 120 missile strikes, which appear to be a mixture of these ballistic missiles, but also the drones that have been recently brought in from Iran, from land and sea, that have targeted across the country, it's yet a further wave of attacks, all of which seem to be targeting critical national energy infrastructure across the country. Of course, without getting inside Putin's head, it's very difficult to know exactly what's going on. But what looks most likely is that 2 things, really, one of which is Russia has militarily stalled on the ground and is desperately keen to distract the Ukrainians from their war effort. And of course, by attacking energy infrastructure, the weather's not very nice here in the UK, but it's fearsomely cold in Ukraine. And by knocking out the energy, it's making life really unpleasant, particularly for people in the capital, Kyiv. And all of this is almost certainly designed to undermine support for President Zelensky and try to erode that support and put pressure on him to perhaps start to negotiate. The other bit that I think almost certainly is that it won't have escaped Putin's attention that Patriot missile systems have been promised by America to Ukraine. They will take some while to get into country and be positioned, and of course as soon as they arrive it will be a lot more difficult for particularly the ballistic missile attacks to be effective anywhere where Patriot is based. So I think Russia will be keen to take whatever impact they can before the arrival of that Western military system.
The government says it has no plans to bring back COVID testing for arrivals into the UK, despite a growing number of countries introducing restrictions on travellers from China. It comes after doctors in China reported that some hospitals are overwhelmed by the numbers of people with COVID after the country eased its tough restrictions. Well, the United States, India, Italy, Japan and Taiwan, South Korea and Malaysia have said they will now require COVID tests for travellers coming from China. Among the countries who say they will not impose additional restrictions on travel, for now they are the UK, Germany, Thailand and Australia.
Well, we'll continue to monitor the circumstances that are occurring in China and in other parts of the world as well as we do. We'll take the appropriate advice from the health experts and follow that advice. There's no change in the travel advice at this point in time, but we're continuing to monitor the situation as we continue to monitor the impact of COVID here in Australia as well as around the world. Our priority is to keep Australians as safe as possible.
Well, our Asia correspondent Cordelia Lynch is in Bangkok for us.
We're seeing a big gap between different countries and their position on COVID in China at the moment. China is seeing a big surge. By some assessments, tens of millions of cases each day. We've seen America and Italy now insist on testing for travellers coming from China, and yet you have the UK saying that they will not be reintroducing testing or intensifying any restrictions at this stage. Of course, things could change in the days, the weeks to come. We've seen some Asian countries like Japan putting a cap on the number of travellers coming through, and some of the data that the likes of Italy is seeing is concerning. They've looked at some post-Christmas flights and around half of some of those coming in from China into an airport in Milan are testing positive for COVID-19. So there is a worry that this could spread rapidly internationally, but China has brought an end to its zero COVID policy. It is keen to allow its citizens to travel, and it doesn't look to be curbing that at the moment. It says that any criticism of its policy is merely a smear campaign, politically motivated and biased.
The deadly bomb cyclone that sent temperatures plummeting in the United States is bringing wet and windy conditions to the UK. But meteorologists say the impact here will be nowhere near as significant as it was in America. There's a yellow weather warning for heavy rain in place for much of Scotland from tomorrow morning. In the US, though, at least 65 people have died during the freezing weather. Houses have been encased in ice and millions of people have lost power. Well, even as the weather eases, huge disruption continues. More than 20,000 flights have been cancelled in the United States since the 22nd of December, according to FlightAware. As many as 1.8 million properties were without power across the US, although services have now been restored in most areas. New York State, the hardest hit region, will receive federal support after President Biden approved an emergency declaration. And in the city of Buffalo, the National Guard has been drafted in to enforce a driving ban, ensuring the only vehicles on the roads are those of the emergency services. Our US correspondent James Matthews reports.
This is how cold it's been. These are houses, frozen, on the shores of Lake Erie, a street in ice sculpture. The temperatures have taken their toll across North America. The reach of this bomb cyclone has extended across thousands of miles and several days. It has gripped millions of people. Upstate New York continues to struggle through the effects of this human tragedy. They are still counting its victims. Casey Macarone lost her mother on Christmas Eve after she'd gone outside in freezing conditions in the city of Buffalo. Monique Alexander was later found dead in the street, partially buried in snow.
She was a hustler, she was a caretaker.
In the city of Buffalo, heavy machinery has been brought in for roadside rescue, while police enforce a driving ban. Nothing and no one is going anywhere quickly.
It's been tough because the driving ban is still in effect for the city of Buffalo. And so we haven't really left our house in about a week. I know most of the stores that have been open, they have not been able to get new deliveries of any goods. And so if people are able to go to corner stores or supermarkets that have been reopening, the shelves are bare.
Fatalities have included people found in their homes and stranded in their vehicles. There is a state of emergency, but there's anger at the state of affairs. In Erie County, one arm of local government is blaming another.
Mayor's not going to be happy to hear about it, but storm after storm after storm after storm, the city, unfortunately, is the last one to be opened, and that shouldn't be the case. It's embarrassing, to tell you the truth. And if we have to, working with the state, we will find a way to get through these storms quicker by taking over operations if need be. And I know the mayor's probably not thrilled to hear it. I don't care anymore. I want it done.
Did you buy it? Huh? Did you buy it? I'm trying to buy it. All right, put it back. Put everything back. Come on.
There have been numerous reports of looting.
Come on.
These are pictures from a supermarket in Buffalo. It is grim here, and it isn't over. As temperatures pick up, there are dangers presented by this snow melting in these quantities. As they dig themselves out, they are digging in for the prospect of floods to follow. James Matthews, Sky News, Washington.
Let's take a look now at some of the day's other top stories. And a third person has been arrested in connection with the murder of Ellie Edwards outside a pub on the Wirral on Christmas Eve. Merseyside police say a 31-year-old man has been detained. Two others, a 30-year-old man and a 19-year-old woman, are still being questioned. Ellie, who was 26 and a beautician, was killed outside the Lighthouse pub in Wallasey Village. Police are still questioning two men over the murder of footballer Cody Fisher at a nightclub in Birmingham. Cody was celebrating Christmas with his friends in the Crane nightclub when he was stabbed. A 22-year-old man has been arrested in the Midlands and a 21-year-old man held in London on suspicion of murder. Friends of the footballer laid flowers at the scene, saying they're struggling to process what's happened.
Just the impact it's had on myself, family, friends. I mean, obviously me and Kelsey are part of a friendship group which has a hole now that can't be filled. I was out the night it happened and it hit me like a ton of bricks. Like I said, he just had an infectious smile, a love for life, his friends, his football, his family, and it just tragic, just horrendous, really, really horrible. And I know for me, it's that I can't get to grips with the minute.
Two 17-year-old boys have been charged with the murder of a British mother of two who was killed while defending her home in Australia on Boxing Day. 41-year-old Emma Lovell and her husband Lee, who are originally from Ipswich in Suffolk, were attacked at their home in North Lakes, close to Brisbane. Police say the teenage boys ran off after the stabbings and were found with the help of sniffer dogs. Lee Lovell told reporters the killing was senseless.
Emma was the glue to our family. She was such a beautiful person. We're all just devastated from her loss. Sort of senseless, and I don't know what people do it for.
This is Sky News. Coming up, it's been a turbulent year in politics, but what can we expect for 2023? We'll speak to Labour and the Conservatives about what next year holds for the parties. Well, it's been a busy year in Westminster with the cost of living crisis, COVID and Brexit dominating the political landscape. In a moment, we'll speak to the Labour MP, Steve Reid, about what 2023 might bring for his party. But first, we've seen 3 Prime Ministers, 4 Chancellors and a number of political scandals in what's been an extraordinarily turbulent year for the Conservatives. But how does 2023 look for the Tory party? Well, joining me now for a review of the year is the former Conservative MP David Gauke. Good to have you with us on Sky News. 3 Prime Ministers in 1 year. I mean, this hardly paints a picture of stability for the Conservative Party, does it?
It doesn't, no. I mean, it's been an extraordinarily turbulent few months. I think the party has probably ended up with the right person leading it, but almost by default, because both Boris Johnson and Liz Truss proved to be incapable of doing the job for very different reasons. But it's likely to be a challenging 2023 because the economic backdrop is so difficult, living standards falling, the public finances under strain, the economy, if either in recession or very close to being in a recession. So this is going to be a challenging set of circumstances for Rishi Sunak. With a Conservative Party that doesn't quite know what it wants to be yet. Is it the party of Boris Johnson, about getting Brexit done, about being tough on immigration? Is it a free market, small state party of the sort that Liz Truss represented? Or is it perhaps more a party that is trying to be pragmatic and keep the show on the road and address difficult challenges in a sensible and thoughtful way? The personality of the party hasn't really emerged, and what's going to be very curious about the next few months as to whether that becomes clearer.
Well, I mean, you say that the right person is finally in charge, but the Conservative Party is still really trying to find out itself what it believes in. I mean, how much faith do you have that Rishi Sunak will be able to navigate the challenging circumstances in his entry, but also keep the party together? Because let's not forget, while the Conservative Party is trying to sort itself out, the country appears to be rather paying the price.
Yes, I mean, it's enormously challenging, and one cannot be entirely confident that Rishi Sunak can do that, not as a criticism of Rishi Sunak, but there is a question about whether the Conservative Party is manageable at the moment, whether there is a sort of sufficient shared purpose amongst the party, or whether it is so riven by factions that no leader can really command the authority necessary to lead the party. The party having been in office now for coming up to 13 years, parties can become less disciplined over time. So yes, I think one shouldn't underestimate the challenges in front of Rishi Sunak, and whether the Conservative Party is at a point where it recognises that it has to get behind its leader, that is the person who it really has to lead it into the next general election, and then try to sort of make something of the next couple of years and reassert a reputation for competence and so on, which can be put before the British public at the next general election.
Well, let's look at what Rishi Sunak's strategy is here, because we are dealing with this enormous cost of living challenge. There are strikes. Viewers can look in the top left-hand corner of their screen and just see who's on strike today. What's Rishi Sunak's strategy here? Because the government has been accused on Sky News this morning of deliberately undermining talks.
I don't think that is quite what they're trying to do. I mean, I think what they're trying to do, which is ambitious, which is to essentially hold to the public spending plans that they set out in 2021, before we saw this surge in inflation that resulted largely from Russia's invasion of Ukraine, but there are other factors as well. And they're trying to hold to those spending plans. And I think that's immensely difficult to do, because you are faced with this challenge that if private sector pay is going up by, say, 7% a year, and you're trying to hold public sector pay to, say, 3% a year, you are going to face difficulties with people simply leaving the public sector and joining the private sector, that the public sector no longer becomes competitive. But if they're going to have more competitive pay, then they're going to have to spend more. And one of the lessons of the Liz Truss premiership is that you've got to keep the markets happy. And if you're going to spend more money, you need to raise more money in taxes. And the Conservative Party really hasn't come to terms with the need to do that. So that's their fundamental difficulty. I mean, look, this is a challenging set of circumstances for any government at any time. Living standards are falling because of a surge of inflation. But to try to address that, they're faced with difficult choices. They either put up spending, which means putting up taxes, or they try to force through essentially cuts in real-term pay for the public sector.
Okay, David Gauke, we're out of time, unfortunately, but thank you so much for joining us on Sky News this morning. Well, let's turn now to see what we can expect next from the Labour Party. Joining me now is Shadow Justice Secretary Steve Reeves. Good to have you with us on Sky this morning. We heard there from David Gauke that one of the big challenges, not just for the Conservatives, but also for the country, are these strikes. It's been a difficult year for the Conservatives. What's Labour's plans to take on these strikes? I mean, how would the Labour Party do things differently?
Well, we're in the middle, aren't we, of a Tory winter of discontent. And the problem that we've got is we've got a government that at best is doing nothing to resolve them, and at worst is actively sabotaging the discussions that could lead to an end to these strikes. So the first thing Labour would do, and I and my colleagues have all said this for weeks now on your shows, is that we would sit down, bring both sides together and just get them talking. And in many cases, the nurses have said this, if the talks were to begin, then the strikes would not continue. And the reason that nurses are taking for the first time in our NHS's history industrial action is because after 10 years in which their pay in real terms has been cut by around 20%, they're now facing another massive real terms pay cut because inflation is soaring and nurses are having to go to food banks to get food and can't afford to heat their homes and clothe their children. That is not a situation we should allow to happen in this country. The way through is just to get people talking.
I'm sorry to jump in there. Of course, everyone agrees that there should be some talking, but with talking must come action. So if a Labour Party was in government and you were faced with exactly the same situation, during those talks, how much money would you offer the public sector workers to call off these strikes?
Well, what you don't do is go into talks already having declared the outcome, because that isn't really a conversation. That's just an instruction, so that wouldn't work. But I know this is not just about pay; it's also about terms and conditions.
Yes, but a large part of it is about pay.
If you speak to nurses, one of the things they'll tell you is that the pressure on them in the hospitals is immense. We lost my dad in the summer. So I was speaking to nurses I was just so in awe of the care and love that they were giving to him and the rest of our family at that time. But there were nurses there working double shifts because there weren't enough nurses. So one thing Labour would do to counter that is we would scrap the non-dom tax status that allows billionaires to pay no tax at all in our country and use the $3 billion that would generate to fund the biggest increase in nurses that we've ever seen in our National Health Service to alleviate some of the pressure on nurses. That is a real thing you could put on the table as part of those negotiations. And I think we need to be looking at longer term than just a single year pay settlement as well. Now, all of that will come out of a negotiation, but if you're not even talking, you can't possibly get to a solution. And we've got a government that is sitting back and refusing to even allow those talks to go ahead. That is negligence.
Okay, so $3 billion it does sound like a lot of money, but given the overall state of the NHS budget, it is rather a drop in the bucket. Assuming there are other plans to tackle this, what could the public look forward to if a Labour government were to come in 2023?
Well, I mean, I don't think it's fair to say 3 billion is a drop in the ocean. That's, that would be the single biggest increase in nurses and doctors our NHS has ever seen in its entire history. So I think that is a very practical measure. Now, the underlying cause of all of this is that we've got a government that's lost control of the economy. We all accept the situation in Ukraine and with Russia has fueled inflation, but it's done that across the whole of the world. And yet the United Kingdom has got the lowest growth out of the 38 members of the OECD. And the reason for that is this government hasn't got a clue how to grow the economy. So Labour's put on the table at our conference this year, Keir Starmer outlined a green prosperity plan that would allow us to invest in transforming the economy to, the green economy, investing in wind, wave, solar, take back control of our energy so we're not subject to these massive fluctuations that we're seeing across the world. And the chairman of Tesco's, not a member of the Labour Party, the chairman of Tesco's said that there's only one player on the pitch when it comes to economic growth, and that's Labour. So, we saw the last Labour government grew the economy twice as fast as this Conservative government has done. If we can grow the economy, as Labour has shown we can, there's more money to share around. But right now, we need to tackle the immediate issues. And in the health service, one of those is the immense pressure that our nurses and doctors are put under in a way that they simply can't cope with working double shifts and not having enough money to pay their bills.
Okay, I'm afraid we are going to have to cut it short there, Steve Reid, but great to have you with us on Sky News. Thank you very much indeed. We're just cutting in to bring you some breaking news now. The West Midlands Police says that a third man has now been arrested on suspicion of the murder of footballer Cody Fisher, who was stabbed to death in a Birmingham nightclub on Boxing Day. More on that as we get it. This is Sky News. Coming up, a special report from the FYI team, our news programme for younger viewers.
Professional traders who trade full-time for a living do not drive Lamborghinis or finish their day at 8 a.m. then spend the rest of the day at the spa or on a beach somewhere. If you think trading is that easy, please do yourself a favor, snap out of it or you will lose all your money. This whole notion of a lifestyle trader is complete nonsense and simply set up to lure you into worthless trading courses to ironically fund
on conflict. But that just doesn't always happen. Ukraine isn't the only country where there's a war.
All over the world to send money to their loved ones in Africa. With SendWave, you can send money to Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. And the best part is, SendWave is absolutely commission-free. Our exchange rates are excellent. You can see for yourself by checking them out on our website. So how do you use SendWave? SendWave is an app that you can download onto your phone from the App Store or Google Play Store. The app is free to download. After downloading it, just open the app and enter your name, email, and phone number. That's it. You're good to go. Make sure you use the promo code SR. S for Starr, R for Radio. This promo code will give you £5 free credit to send to Africa on your first transaction. Your money will be delivered to your recipient within seconds. Feel free to call me on 0749 7377 647 at any time. I'll be happy to tell you all about SendWave and help you in any way I can. Remember to use the promo code SR for £5 free credit.
Getting onto the property ladder has never been easy until now. Join us this and every Thursday from 7 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. live on the Property Hour show on Starr Radio UK, where we talk to mortgage brokers, property developers, estate agents, landlord, tenant, property consultants on how to invest or get into the property business and make money. You can't afford to miss this. The Property Hour show is your best source into the property industry.
Hi everyone, it's your girl BB Clement, the author of How to Go From Employee to Entrepreneur and the host of your weekly business show, BB Means Business. The show where we discuss everything you ever wanted to know about business but you were afraid to ask. How do I start my business? How do I raise the finance? How do I grow my business? Where am I going to find my customers? Join me every Tuesday at 1:30 p.m. on Starr Radio UK to get all the information and tips that you need to become a successful entrepreneur and become financially free. Remember, don't let life dictate to you. Rather, put your signature on life.
Are you looking for the fastest, reliable, and trustworthy door-to-door shipment company? Well, look no further. When was the last time your family received a shipment back in Ghana on time and in time? You are not sure? Well, Lamb Shippers, we pride ourselves with being the fastest, reliable, and trustworthy shippers you can use. You are assured of a prompt pickup anywhere in the UK by our personnel. They also make sure your items are well packaged to get to its destination in time. When it comes to door-to-door shipment, look no further. Well, Lamb Shippers, contact us on 07939009321 or 07498911820. Or you can visit our website www.welllamp.co.uk. You can also drop us a mail, info@welllamp@gmail.com. Well Lamp Shippers, fast, reliable, and trustworthy.
Tune in to On Point here on Starr Radio UK with Empress Regina every Monday at 5 p.m. GMT. Looking forward to your company.
Check me out. He tells me my energy is making him tired.
Yes!
How do you get the energy to do
I've been told that I have a lot of energy, but my goodness, I think today I have met my match, people. I have met my match, Miss Suzanne. Wow, amazing.
One of the things that's the start of the darkness. The whole of darkness.
So what did that
myself and the world will adjust. And 2019.
Forget the proverbial boardroom. Join me, Simone Frazier, on the CEO, the program that gives you the driving seat over your life. Every Tuesday, 8 p.m. only on Starr Radio.
Make that move now this festive season to your new home address at GHS Housing Estate. From now to 31st January 2023, we are offering you an amazing 5% buyer's discount on all purchases on our expandable 1, 2, 3 and 4 bedroom detached homes at Cochrane Villa, Pokwase, just 5 minutes drive from the interchange. The Mayflower and the new Hazel Courts at Kuntusi, 20 minutes drive from Achimotamo. Beautiful homes in a serene and gated community with flexible payment plans available. Call us now on 0544 347 980 or 0544 347 981. GHS Housing Estates. View it, love it, own it.
Hi guys, this is your friend Uruj from SendWave. SendWave is a money transfer app that is used by people all over the world to send money to their loved ones in Africa. With SendWave, you can send money to Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. And the best part is, SendWave is absolutely commission free. Our exchange rates are excellent. You can see for yourself by checking them out on our website. So how do you use SendWave? SendWave is an app that you can download onto your phone from the App Store or Google Play Store. The app is free to download. After downloading it, just open the app and enter your name, email, and phone number. That's it. You're good to go. Make sure you use the promo code SR, S for Star, R for Radio. This promo code will give you £5 free credit to send to Africa on your first transaction. Your money will be delivered to your recipient within seconds. Feel free to call me on 0749 7377 647 at any time. I'll be happy to tell you all about SendWave and help you in any way I can. Remember to use the promo code SR for £5 free credit. Medase.
Getting onto the property ladder has never been easy until now. Join us this and every Thursday from 7 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. live on the Property Hour show on Starr Radio UK, where we talk to mortgage brokers, property developers, estate agents, landlord, tenant, property consultants on how to invest or get into the property business and make money. You can't afford to miss this. The Property Hour show is your best source into the property industry.
The best radio show.
Hi there, this is CJ Buckman, your life coach. And whenever I'm in London, I listen to Starr Radio UK right here. But guess what? You can listen to wherever you are.
Body is your man. Bekutu, show them you got the cocoa set. Ladies and gentlemen, it's your boy Harrison, aka Mr. Songs. This is the Kingmaker Baba for the girls. We're here. This is Starr Radio. Don't go nowhere. UK, London. We they call them London for home. For here, we they call them London. And that's how you know. Just have fun and stay blessed.
The best radio show.
Broadcasting worldwide, online 24/7.
All around the world. In your car.
At work.
At home.
On your smartphone.
This is Starr Radio UK. Are you ready to turn it up?
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Smile, though your heart is aching. Smile even though it's breaking. When there are clouds in the sky, you get by. If you smile through your fear and sorrow, smile and maybe tomorrow you find that life is still worthwhile if you just smile. Hey, this is Archie and you are listening to Starr Radio UK and The Morning Show.
This is Starr Radio. This is
UK.
Starr Radio UK. This is Starr Radio UK.
Welcome.
Broadcasting worldwide, online 24/7.
Enlighten your day with Starr Radio. Starr Radio. Radio for the people, by the people.
Let me hear you sing. Okay, hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good dawn to you, wherever you might be on planet Earth, and those of you on other planets as well. I want to salute each and every one of you, and once again, welcome you to another edition of the morning show. Today is Thursday, the 29th day of the month of December, the year 2022, time 10:50, running behind time. Yes, there's so much to do. Making sure that, yes, the new year that we're going to be entering into will be one that we'll all enjoy because things have been planned ahead and we're taking along nicely. I hope you all had a good night or a good morning or a good day, whichever is appropriate. From the deepest part of my heart and from management and staff and presenters on Starr Radio UK, we want to say good morning and welcome to the program. I remain yours sincerely, the one and only Archie. Playing in the background, something from the TNS. The new song, on the call, PIWC. But share the broadcast with your friends and loved ones and invite them to like our pages. Good morning to my team, Mr. Olaimi Kwaiki. Massive good morning to you, Mr. Frank Davis. Wow, working behind the scenes. Massive good morning to you. And my able producer, Mr. Francis Gaye. I salute you, sir. All presenters on Starr Radio UK, we salute each and every one of you. In the background say smile, though the days and everything in it might be troubling and tough, but there's a friend who can guide you through it all. So though you might be going through some challenging times, be rest assured, some way somehow you'll come through it. The resilience of mankind. Let me say good morning to Anthony Adedeji Chasino all the way in Moscow. Miss Gold. Aziz, good morning to you. Bishop Adeshina, good morning. Mr. Herbert Hammond. And all the little ones there. Sterling and Jerry, good morning to you all. Let me say good morning to Rosita, Alfred, and baby Delta. Eresi, massive good morning to you. And to Miss Ebenezer Hammond all the way in Cape Town. I salute you. Chantel, good morning. Amaya Jigini, good morning. You know, if I want to continue with my salutation, I'll go on and on and on and on and on and on and on. But we have to just crack on. Because as I said, the 3-day program that we're bringing you is all ending exactly at 12 o'clock. Because just a summary of what is happening across the globe. Khadijat, good morning to you. All my listeners across the globe, especially the other Doha Nation group. Massive good morning to you all. And IPOP, you know, I stand for anyone who feels that they are being marginalized or oppressed. I am a voice for the voiceless. That's what Starr Radio UK does. As we say, radio for the people, by the people.
Starr Radio. Radio for the people, by the people.
So I'm going to bring you the quote for the day, the weather forecast will follow suit, and the travel update as well. We'll move on from there. We'll have a look at some of the stories making the rounds across the globe, starting from Nigeria to other part of Africa, and then we'll come to other part of the world, and we'll finally end in the United Kingdom. But wherever you are, be rest assured of one thing. If the news is making headlines, why not? I promise you one thing, we're gonna bring it your way. So So the quote for the day says, a good leader is able to take a group of individuals with different skills and personalities and form them into a cohesive, effective unit. That's what a good leader does. Not divide and rule as our colonial masters were doing. Wow. We see it now in our countries, wherever, Ghana, Nigeria, and all that stuff. But a good leader should be able to bring different talent, different, beings together. They work cohesively. All right, then let's crack on. Well, the weather seems to be a bit better off today than it has been the past couple of days when there has been, especially yesterday when there was heavy rains here. But this afternoon, most of the showers will clear away with plenty of winter sunshine developing. However, a chance of the odd shower remains. A breezy day. And tonight will be dry with clear skies for much of the night. However, areas of cloud will tend to develop as dawn approaches. A breezy night expected once again. Top temperature 11 degrees, the lowest 4 degrees. UV level low, pollution low as well. Sunset 15:59 and sunrise for tomorrow morning 0806 hours. Starr Radio UK. Okay, let's take a quick break. Don't you worry, I'll bring you the full song or that track in a moment. But let's go straight to the roads and let's see what is happening on your travels this morning, especially those of you who are still embarking on your journeys to work and wherever you're going to.
This is Starr Radio UK.
Okay, so those of you who want to be using the underground this morning, the district line have got path closures and Elizabeth line path closures there as well. The other side, all the others have got good service. On the London Overground as well, there's path suspension, path closure, severe delays, and minor delays. So please check before you leave. Now let's move on to the major roads in London. Now A13, A316, A4, Central London Red routes have all got closures there. Well, on the river bats, apart from the Woolwich Ferry, they've got special service. All the others have got good service for you. Now, on the London Cable Car, good service there as well. The final segment of the travel update, that is the National Rail, where I will say keep your eyes on the road still. Avanti West Coast, Chiltern Railways, Cross Country, First Transparent Express, Gatwick Express, Great Anglia, Greater Anglia, my apologies there, London North Eastern Railway, and Southeastern have all got special service. Now, Southern has also got special service there. That aside, Great Western Railway, Northern Rail, Scott Rail, and yes, have all got minor delays. The rest, good service. So on that note, as I do, or as I would say, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good dawn to you wherever you might be on planet Earth. Enjoy your commute for today. But you know what? Continue to keep those eyes on the roads.
Make that move now this festive season to your new home address at GHS Housing Estate. From now to 31st January 2023, we are offering you an amazing 5% buyer's discount on all purchases on our expandable 1, 2, 3 and 4 bedroom detached homes at Cochrane Villa, Pokwase, just 5 minutes drive from the interchange. The Mayflower and the new Hazel Courts at Kuntusi, 20 minutes drive from Achimatamo. Beautiful homes in a serene and gated community with flexible payment plans available. Call us now on 0544 347 980 or 0544 347 981. GHS Housing Estates. View it, love it, own it.
Welcome back to the program. It is Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. It's now 11 o'clock from the Hearts of London. Let's move on to some of the stories making the rounds. Yes, before I bring you that music, and then we can go into details. Now, when it comes to Nigeria, Obiazo Hinezi, President General, passes on. Ozedima is saying, and Buhari okays 400 armored vehicles for the federal FCT, that is Federal Capital, Nasarawa, and Niger states. 400 armored vehicles. Now, Senate advises CBN to extend deadline for phasing out old Naira notes. Now, have you been able to change your Naira? Those of you in Nigeria at the moment, and those of you who travel down or who are getting themselves ready to travel down, what do you think about that? And in 2022, police kill 21 bandits, rescue 206 abducted persons in Kaduna. It's one of the stories making the rounds there. Uproar as lawmakers hold Buhari's plan to restructure 22.7 trillion CBN overdraft. 21.827 trillion instead. Now, 7 women heading to church event die on Sagumu Benin Road. A sad one there. A huge setback for Atiku as Peter Obi's new spokesman reveals Obasanjo's anointed. Well, the campaign is going on. The election is supposed to take place in February, but the question is, would that election take place at all? I don't know, go put it up or put the plug out in the last moment and say, well, due to some setbacks or some challenges, so we are postponing it. What is going to happen? And even if it goes on and it happens that Peter Obi wins, are they going to say that, wow, let's hand over to Peter Obi? Do you think we're going to be saying anything of the sort? Well. I want to know what you think about all that. EFCC lists forfeited properties, invite Nigeria to bid for them. Interesting. APC denies link with killing of PDP mobilizer in Oyo. And then explosion rocks Okene as Buhari arrives for project commissioning, and it's a serious one. What is going on exactly there? I will bring you more details in a moment, but wherever you are, stay tuned. Don't touch the dial. Starr Radio UK. Now, moving on to some other stories making it around as well. Ivorian court sentences 11 to life in prison for 2016 jihadist attack. The jihadist attack on the beach of Grand Bassam in Ivory Coast killed 19 people, including several Europeans. And then South Sudan announces deployment of 750 soldiers to Eastern DRC. And the South African relatives of fuel tanker explosion victims honor loved ones. And Senegal's opposition calls for protests after COVID funds mismanaged. You know why I'm laughing? Well, Ghana when the parliament was calling for the government to come and account for the COVID funds, well, they've not been able to do so, unless maybe you're listening to me, anything that they've done so. I mean, feel free. Send me a message, or you can call in and then come and justify if the government has done so. But whatever it is Starr Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Okay, so now let's move on to some other stories making the rounds this morning. Now, when it comes to some of the other stories making the rounds in Ghana, 2 police officers have been interdicted for extortion. But how many are there if they want to go around? I bet they wouldn't have any police officers left. I'm not saying that every police officer is like that. I remember back in the day, I've been saying this time and over again. Back in the day when I was in Ghana, one time I needed to go drop some people. Some of my cousins came to me and I needed to go and drop them. And then we were driving on the cantonments, or is it cantonment that they were? I've forgotten where. But we were driving on the Tesano Road going up to what do we call that? Is it the overpass? Now going to join the is it George Bush High Street or High Road, whichever they call it? Yes. And then there was this police officer because there was so much traffic, so I decided to drive on the side. And then this police officer stopped me. I thought that maybe he was going to be one of those who say, give me this or give me that. This man just stopped me, and just left me sitting there, and he was attending to. And I was saying, officer, please can I? He says, no. You people, you think that you are prominent, think that you are so, and therefore you take the laws into your own hands. I'm going to delay you. You're going to be there until I say. So then I had to apologize and promise that I wouldn't do anything of the sort. He didn't extort, he didn't take anything. But after that, maybe because he was looking at me thinking that he wasn't sure who or what I am, but I mean, he could have said, okay, just this and go, or no, but he was quite understandable, knowing the traffic at the time. But if they say that they're going to be putting cameras, because in this round somebody recorded whatever was going on, that extortion bit that was going on between the police and the drivers at a particular time, and therefore was able to be captured there. But the interdiction, if they say they're going to be doing that, nowadays we have people, everybody everywhere has got a mobile phone and they record all sorts. So go on recording that, maybe now they would say that, well, the driver was giving them a gift. What can you say about that? Well. National Cathedral project will continue despite MP's rejection of budget allocation. Dr. Joyce Aye is saying, what is all this about this National Cathedral? Is it a panacea to all Ghana's problems? Then why should Nigeria not build a national cathedral, and all those countries where leadership virtually failed them, are not doing what they're supposed to do? Why don't they build some national cathedral, and that will be good for us, and everything will be okay? Why not? Well, it is Starr Radio UK. Maybe the US, they have to build a national cathedral as well if they've not got one. And it may be Israel to have to build their own. Everybody has to build a national cathedral. Maybe, you might not know. That is why the Pope, the economy, I think the economy is better. Well. We're going to be talking more about that in a moment, but it's all coming your way from Starr Radio UK. Now, moving on to other parts of the world as well, looking at some of the stories making the round. Russia fires dozens of missiles at Ukrainian cities, and I'm asking the question, what more? What more? Do they just want to just destroy the whole of Ukraine, and then that's it? And then what else? What else? Well, battlefield is deadlocked. Ukraine spy chief says, Krilo Budanov says neither side can make significant advances and eyes advanced Western weapons. Okay, so we'll be seeing the promise that the US gave the Ukrainians. How is that going to impact their defense, the defense of themselves, and how is that going to, stall the advancement of the Russians there as well? We'll be looking more into that. Anger rises as Bolivia arrests opposition leader Luis Fernando Camacho is accused of terrorism, but some are calling it a kidnapping. Well, you know what? Give a dog a bad name. You can hang it always. Let me say good morning to Samiyu Adeyemi. So you guys are doing a great job. Samiyu, thank you very much for joining us as well. Thank you very, very much. Energy giant Exxon Mobil sues EU over windfall tax. The US company says the levy on its profits will discourage future investment in Europe. See? I don't know. These people profiteering. Well, it's a capitalist state, so what do you think? Well, it has to go on. And pray for the very ill predecessor, Benedict says, the Pope. So we'll continue to pray for him. That age we know, but I'd rather he pass on, what, quietly, rather than being there and being ill. Well, it is all coming away from Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. 9 minutes past the top of the hour. Here in the UK, third murder arrest overnight nightclub stabbing. Non-league footballer Cody Fisher was fatally injured on a night out in Birmingham on Boxing Day. And third arrest again over Christmas Eve pub shooting. A 31-year-old man is held after Early Edwards was killed and 4 men were injured in Merseyside. So, some of the stories making the rounds here in the UK. Ukraine was sea change for openness. Said Jeremy Fleming interviews head of US intelligence agency as guest editor of Radio 4 today. TUC accuses ministers of refusing to negotiate on pay. Its new general secretary Paul Nowak has suggested the government is hiding behind pay review bodies. Well. It is Starr Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London, and it is the morning show. Let's now listen to some music, and then we come back and we bring you details of all the stories making the round. And as you know, the program is ending at 12 o'clock. Tomorrow, the program will end at 12 o'clock as well. Just winding up nicely, and then come next week, we'll be hitting the roads like no man's business. Okay then, so wherever you are, don't touch the dial. Enjoy this music. It's a smile. Yes, it might be that things are challenging or whatever, but in some way, somehow, God comes through for you. So enjoy it. Good morning.
Oh, Lord God. All right, TNS, let me hear you sing. Shall be and now no Oti
Well, something from the TLS. Very lovely tune there. Begin your day this morning. I hope I'm doing so. But wherever you are, 17 minutes past the top of the hour at a time. We're going to take a break, and once we come back, we continue with the show. Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London.
Make that move now this festive season to your new home address at GHS Housing Estates. From now to 31st January 2023, we are offering you an amazing 5% buyer's discount on all purchases on our expandable 1, 2, 3 and 4 bedroom detached homes at Cochrane Villa, Pokwase, just 5 minutes drive from the interchange. The Mayflower and the new Hazel Courts at Kuntusi, 20 minutes drive from Achimatamo. Beautiful homes in a serene and gated community with flexible payment plans available. Call us now on 0544 347 980 or 0544 347 981. GHS Housing Estates. View it, love it, own it.
Okay, welcome back to the program Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. I'm bringing the time now to 18 minutes past the top of the hour. The lines are open. Let me just open it so that if you want to hop in, you want to wish somebody anything that you want to, or whatever you want to do, but just feel free to do so, because at 12 o'clock exactly, then we bring the program to a close. Okay? To allow all the necessary underground works or behind the scene works to be done to usher us into a very nice, yes, New Year. Okay, now moving on straight to some of the stories making the rounds in Nigeria. Now, information coming through says that a staccato of explosion rocked the central part of Okene, Kogi State, as President Muhammad Buhari was being expected for a state visit in the early hours of Thursday. Now, today, that's the 29th of December, the deafening explosion rattled residents and other stakeholders awaiting the presidential arrival. Initial reports from people on the ground claim the explosion occurred around 9 a.m. along the Kuroko Road, not far from the new reference hospital, one of the projects billed for commissioning by the president, and 3 persons were feared killed. Now, there are conflicting remarks on the cause of the explosion. While some people said it was a bomb blast, others, another account attributed it to a transformer explosion. The explosion ignited tongues of flames that leaked from some parked vehicles, motorcycles, and houses. My apologies there. Now, news of the incident sent jitters down the spine of people around the state, famed among the safety in the safest in the country. Now, repeated calls to the police and government officials on the matter were not responded to. The report is saying, but news report that Kogi people remain excited about the president's visit. On arrival, he is expected to inaugurate projects in Okene, Lagoja, among which are Specialist Hospital Okene, Confluence University of Science and Technology, and Ganaja Overhead Bridge, and Muhammad Buhari Square, MBS Lokoja. At the time of filing this report, the president had just arrived. So we'll be trying to see whether we get more information pertaining to that. So was that a bomb blast, or what exactly was it there? I'll be telling you more about that as I have more information coming your way. So let's move on quickly to other stories as well. 2023 polls, Buhari charges security agencies to maintain professionalism. Now, what is he talking about there? Now, President Muhammad Buhari has urged security agencies to handle the disruption and monitoring of classified materials and other logistics professionally and in accordance with standing. The President Muhammad has urged security agencies to handle the distribution and monitoring of classified materials and other logistics professionally and in accordance with standard operation procedures during the 2023 general elections. He made the call on Wednesday while speaking at the commissioning of the Defense Intelligence Agency, newly acquired estate in Idi Kamo in Abuja. Now, the president, who restated his earlier directive to the agencies to remain apolitical, said they must desist from behavior that could bring disrepute to the organization and the country by compromising the democratic process. The president, who was the special guest of honor, explained that the DIA's investment in staff accommodation complemented his vision of achieving improved national security. The veteran said, the accommodation will enhance productivity and coordination of activities of staff of the agency in view of increasing number of personnel to face new challenges and responsibilities. Well, coming away from Nigeria. Now, Ruth, good morning to you. Ruth says, Yoruba Nation now, no going back. Yes, I agree with you, my lady. All right, now let's move on straight to some other stories making the rounds. Now, Obiezo, Ohanize President General, passes on. Well, that could be a blow, but Governor Hope Uzodinma of Imo has announced the death of Professor George Obiezo, a President General of the Ohanize Indigbo, the apex socio-cultural organization of the Igbo people. The announcement came in an obituary announcement by the governor made available to news networks. Now, Uzodinma described Obiezo, a former Nigerian ambassador to the United States and Israel, as a renowned academic and exceptional diplomat and statesman and a tenacious patriot whose death is a big loss to Imo, the Southeast, and Nigeria in general. He prayed God to grant his soul and eternal rest. On behalf of the government and people of Imo State, I sorrowfully announce the passage of a great son of Imo State and Nigeria, the President General of Ohanize Indigbo Worldwide, Professor George Obiezo. Now, I have no doubt that both Nigeria and the international community will miss his profound and intellectual contributions and wise counsel on national and global issues. That's what Uzodinma says. And we say here, may his soul rest in perfect peace. It is all coming away from Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Now the PDP is threatening sanctions against the G5 governors. Now, PDP threatening sanctions against G5 governors. I have a picture in front of me here, and it's quite an interesting one. I say the People's Democratic Party has threatened sanctions against 5 of its aggrieved governors, known as the G5. Now, following alleged meeting with the presidential candidate of the All Progressive Congress, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, in London on Tuesday, led by Governor Nyesom Wike of Rivers State and its counterpart Seyi Makinde of Oyo, Okeze Ikwezo of Abia, Samuel Otum of Borno, and Ifeyi Ogwanyi of Enugu. The governors reportedly met with Tinubu in London. The governors had withdrawn support for Atiku Abubakar, the presidential candidate of the PDP, over demand that the national chairman of the party, Iyorchia Ayo, resigns his position. Now, Rivers State Governor Nyesom Wike last week promised to announce a preferred candidate for the 2023 presidential election in January. The G5 governors are currently in London, where they reportedly met with Tinubu at the UK meeting. It was alleged that Tinubu had lobbied them to endorse him for the 2023 presidency. While reacting to the purported meeting, National Publicity Secretary of the PDP, Debo Olagunaba, in a statement on Wednesday, said the party will resolve the sanctions on erring governors and apply relevant provisions of its constitution if the need arises. The PDP is a party of constitution, rules, and procedures. Now, we don't react to speculations in taking decisions. We look at our party constitution in relation to issues. Whatever happens, it is the constitution that will guide the actions we will take. Now, that actually, if these 5 governors have decided to back Peter Obi, is it not taking the wind out of the sail of the PDP, or what do you call him, the PDP presidential candidate? What is his name again? Tinubu. What do you think? Okay. This is all coming away from Star Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Okay. Now let's move on straight to one other story, and then we'll bring the update from Nigeria. To close, we move on straight to other stories making the rounds. Now, okay, this pertains to the Naira notes. Now, if you have still got the old Naira notes, if not changed it, well, the Senate is advising the CBN to extend deadline for phasing out old Naira notes. Now, the story says the Senate has urged the Central Bank of Nigeria to extend its deadline for the phasing out of the old 1,500 and 200 Naira notes from January 31st to June 30th, 2023. The senator representing Borno State, Ali Ndume, raised the alarm over the January 31st deadline. According to him, the notice given by the CBN is too short, considering the few banks in the Borno Yobe state and the inability of people in these states to lodge the old note in time to meet the deadline. Well, you can see that he was speaking for his own people. The three-note banknote saying the new and existing currencies will remain legal tender and circulate together until January the 31st, 2023. So what are they going to do? Will they do a U-turn? Are they going to get some people to maybe a satellite bank? Well, that will be a field day for the kidnappers and all those who go on that part. But well, that is how I bring the update from Nigeria to close. Now let's move on straight to some other stories making the rounds on the African continent. Over 50 killed in ethnic clashes in South Sudan's Jonglei region. But interestingly, South Sudan has also sent troops to help to DRC to help combat whatever that is going on there. But it's interesting, you know. It's interesting. They've not fixed their own houses, but their homes, but they are trying to go help others there. At least 57 people were killed and more than a dozen others injured during recent ethnic violence in South Sudan's eastern Jonglei region, a local official said on Wednesday. Now, armed groups of youths from the Noa ethnic group attacked members of the Mori ethnic group in the Greater Peebo administrative area. Greater Peebo Information Minister Abraham Kelang said. Now, South Sudan, which gained independence from Sudan in 2011, has been blighted by political and communal violence and clashes over cattle, land disputes for decades. Now, Kelang said the fighting started on Sunday when armed youths from Jonglei attacked Lanam village. He said members of both groups were killed while 17 people on the mall side were among the injured. The Mali Community Youth Association Chairman David Ngiro condemned the fighting and urged humanitarian groups to intervene. And that's all that we see all the time. We go create our own fight, and then we fight, and we say, let humanitarian group come in, and then when they come in, and we say they are causing too much problems, and then wow. What do you think there? Now, Rwanda accuses Congolese warplane of violating its airspace. I hope that this is not going to escalate into anything. We don't want any wars there at all, do we? Now, Rwanda has accused the neighboring Democratic Republic of Congo of violating its airspace by flying a fighter jet over its territory. Now, accusations comes amid growing tensions between the two after Kinshasa accused Rwanda of backing the rebel M23 group, which has resumed fighting in eastern DRC. In a statement tweeted on Wednesday, Kigali said the authorities in the DRC seem to be emboldened by consistent coddling by some in the international community who repeatedly heap blame on Rwanda for any and all ills in the DRC, while ignoring the transgression originating from the DRC. Now, it's quite an interesting one there. The United Nations and the United States have also said that they believe Rwanda backs the M23, and that is the cuddling that they are talking about there. But what do you think How do we resolve our own impasse? Now, again, these are tribal issues there. We have the Tutsis and the Hutus. I don't know who is coming from where. So, well, some of the Tutsis who might be coming from the DRC and Rwanda as well, who think that they are being, whatever they think that they need to have the upper hand, there are also doing whatever thing that they are doing, and that we need to sit there, have smoke the peace pipe so that we stop all these things. We don't need that, do we? Well, it's on Starr Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. 11:32 the time, the morning show, the program. Now moving on to Senegal. Senegal opposition has called for protests after COVID funds mismanaged. Senegal's main opposition coalition, Yewi Askan, has called for a concert of pans on New Year's Eve as the president addresses the nation. So they'll be clashing pans. Wow. They're angry after reportedly a report by Senegal's Court of Auditors revealed that the nation response fund against the effect of COVID-19, which held more than 1 billion euros, was subject to mismanagement and criminal offenses. It was funded by both the state and international donors. 1,000 billion was put on the table. 1,000 billion to fight COVID, to save the Senegalese. MP Sheikh Tidiane Jung said, and during that time, the 1,000 billion that was intended to prevent death, some ministers shamelessly and unscrupulously used the funds like thieves. The audit of expenditure in 2020 and 2021 also revealed that about 28 million euros spent by various ministries was not spent on COVID-19 at all. So where is the money? My Zongo man would say, where is the dollar? Wow. Starr Radio UK. Checks and balances. Does it really work when it comes to Africa? Nah. I'm not sure. All right then. It is Starr Radio UK. Now, let's move on. We'll take a quick break and we'll move on to Ghana. Have a look at some of the stories making the rounds there. Stay tuned. And don't you go away.
Hi guys, this is your friend Uruj from SendWave. SendWave is a money transfer app that is used by people all over the world to send money to their loved ones in Africa. With SendWave, you can send money to Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. And the best part is, SendWave is absolutely commission free. Our exchange rates are excellent. You can see for yourself by checking them out on our website. So how do you use SendWave? SendWave is an app that you can download onto your phone from the App Store or Google Play Store. The app is free to download. After downloading it, just open the app and enter your name, email, and phone number. That's it. You're good to go. Make sure you use the promo code SR. S for Star, R for Radio. This promo code will give you £5 free credit to send to Africa on your first transaction. Your money will be delivered to your recipient within seconds. Feel free to call me on 0749 7377 647 at any time. I'll be happy to tell you all about SendWave and help you in any way I can. Remember to use the promo code SR for £5 free credit. Medasse.
Getting onto the property ladder has never been easy until now. Join us this and every Thursday from 7 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. live on the Property Hour Show on Starr Radio UK, where we talk to mortgage brokers, property developers, estate agents, landlord, tenant, property consultants on how to invest or get into the property business and make money. You can't afford to miss this. The Property Hour Show is your best source into the property industry.
Welcome back to the program. It is Starr Radio UK. The Property Hour Show comes your way every Thursday at 7 o'clock. It's preceded by a repeat broadcast of BB Clement's program, BB Means Business, and a lot more. So you go to our Facebook page or our social media handles, and they are all there. All the past programs you can enjoy. They are tailor-measured programs to make sure that whatever facet of life that you find yourself in, you are able to advance or better yourself there. All right then. So now let's move on to Ghana as well, since we have another 24 minutes to bring the program to a close. All right. Now, return of quota system for colleges of education smacks dishonesty, says APAC. Now, who is APAC? And let me tell you more about that. The deputy ranking member of the Education Committee of Parliament, Dr. Clement APAC, has slammed the new Patriotic Party government for the reintroduction of the quota system for colleges of education. The Bolsa South lawmaker says the Kufuor and Bawumia MPP government owe Ghanaians an apology for abandoning midstream, a promise made to people of Ghana. The current MPP government promised to and restore the diluted form of teacher trainee allowance, and they assured Ghanaians that they will not reintroduce the quota system. They restricted more teachers from being trained. They have since made a U-turn. Now, from the foregoing, it smacks of dishonesty when the same government that made a promise to win an election has turned back on its words and is now doing what was not even close to what was condemned to win the election in 2016. I strongly insist that the Kufuor Bawumia MPP government has an obligation to tell Ghanaians the justification for the reintroduction of a quota system they promised not to introduce and admitted will close the door to many prospective teachers. Well, now, if they made that statement, so let's put it this way, that they made a statement, found out that along the lines that I don't think we have the means to continue with whatever statement that we made, and therefore want to do a U-turn. And well, now they are saying that whatever is happening now is worse off than what they condemned to even win the election. Whether that helped them to win the election is another story there as well. However, my issue is that do you think that even if the NDC stands on their use that as one of their manifestos, promise that look, or accuse the MPP for doing that U-turn smack of dishonesty, do you think that will gain them votes at all? That is a question that I want to know this morning. But I want to hear from you. So you can text in, you can WhatsApp, you can do all sorts. Now, if you want to text or call us, it is 0208-133-2257 or 58 0208-133-2257 or 58. Or if you are in the US or Canada or the Caribbean area and you want to text or WhatsApp or call us, it is 001718303 2737 0017183032737, and then you can text or WhatsApp at 0753966144 0753966144. Our Twitter handle is @Starr Radio UK and email address is info@starradiouk.com. So make sure your dials are still logged on and call in and make your take. We've got about another 20 minutes to bring the program to a close for today, but wherever you are, don't touch the dial. Okay, so that's what Professor Dr. Clement APAC has said so far pertaining to the teacher colleges of education and the U-turn by government. Kufuor has unleashed most painful, severest hardship ever, APAC continues to say there as well. A minority has redirected 80 million for National Cathedral to roads and communications. The minority in Parliament has compelled ministers for finance, Kenneth Fariata, to redirect 80 million Ghana cedis allocation to the National Cathedral Secretariat in the 2023 budget to roads and communication ministries. Well, isn't that well? The roads and communication needed more than the National Cathedral. However, Dr. Joyce Ayi, A member of Board of Trustees of the National Cathedral of Ghana, Dr. Joyce Rosalind Aye, has said that the National Cathedral project will continue despite Parliament's rejection of the 80 million Ghana cedis budgetary allocation to it. According to her, the said amount rejected by the Parliament was only part of the seed money the government promised for the construction of the cathedral, not the entire money that is needed to construct and complete the edifice. Speaking yesterday, Dr. Aye said, it does not mean the project cannot go on, because I know you are going to bring your money and I will bring mine, and everybody that we will approach and is willing will bring this. She said on Thursday that really those who are willing are the people making the money available for the construction. I think we should all keep calm and not be disturbed. So why don't we get people contributing to do so? And I mean, not take any money from the states coffers. So let's take, for example, if Dr. Bawumia wins the next election, and he also says that, well, the fact that Enodna had never led the MPP and won an election, and by the grace of God, or as he would say, as Muslims say, Allah, I've also got this position. I want to build a national mosque. How will the ordinary Ghanaian feel? And then maybe later on along the line, we have another president who is a Buddhist. What do we do? And then along the line, we have another one who worships idols. What do we do there? So you see, it's not like we have a national church where, like in Russia, they've got a national church. They've got a national one. Okay? Even here in the UK, we've got the Church of England. That is a national church. But there we've got the Catholic, we've got the Anglican, we've got the charismatic, various charismatic churches, we've got the Pentecostals, we've got all sorts, and everybody has their own edifice. And then, like I said the other time, we've got the Black Star Square, where when there are events like that were big. I remember back in the day, the first time, who was there? I remember when the late Reinhard Bonnke came to Ghana. I remember because we were one of the people who were rolled in to do the ushering at the time. We had to go to the race court, the race course. That's it. When was that? Is it Northridge or that side? Yeah, and that's where the event was held. Now there was another person who came, because I remember we were going to sing, we were going to perform as a group there, and that was held at the Black Star Square or the Independence Square. So we've got all those facilities there. So why do we try to put money into building that? They're saying that, well, it's going to be something where tourists will come and look. We have the first president of Ghana Mausoleum. How have we actually kept that? Well, I want to know what you think about all that. It's all coming your way from Starr Radio UK, and it's your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Is it misplaced priority when it comes to Africa and especially Ghana? Well, it is Starr Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Now, let's move on to other parts of the world because we'll be running up pretty soon. I'm moving on straight to Russia, to Ukraine, my apologies. And let me take the opportunity once again to say good morning or good afternoon to Tosino in Moscow. I hope you are doing very well, sir. All right then. Now, cities across Ukraine have been targeted by a wave of Russian missile strike in one of the largest bombardments since the war began. At least 3 people, including a 14-year-old girl, were taken to hospital after explosion hit the capital, Kyiv. Mayor Vitaly Klitschko said. Now, blasts were also heard in the cities of Kharkiv, Odessa, Lviv, Zhytomyr. Okay. Ukraine's military said 69 missiles were launched with air defenses, intercepting 54 of them. Now, earlier, presidential advisor Mikhailo Podolyak said more than 120 missiles have been launched at civilian infrastructure. The air raid lasted for close to 5 hours, and the regional leader of the southern province of Odessa, Maxim Mrichenko, spoke of a massive missile attack in Ukraine. The Ukrainian Air Force said Russia attacked the country from various directions with air and sea-based cruise missiles. It added that a number of kamikaze drones had also been used as air raid alerts sounded in all regions of the country. Presidential advisor Oleksky urged civilians to seek shelter and said the country's air defenses were operating. In Kyiv, 2 homes were damaged by debris from intercepted missiles, according to the city military administration. Mr. Klitschko said 16 missiles were destroyed over the city by the air defense. But this war is going on. What does Russia really want to achieve? Leveling Ukraine so that nobody will be able to inhabit that place? Now, of course, you know that we've got the Western countries who have now put lots of money in there, giving them arms. They will not want to sit back and say that, well, after all this money will go waste. If it's level, they will say they're going to put it up. But what? I mean, it's like siblings fighting each other. But well, who knows what is going on in Putin's head? And who knows what is going on in Zelensky's head? It's only God who knows. But well, let's move on. We're getting closer to the end of the program, as I did say. Now, I brought this story your way, but in the UK, there's not going to be any COVID tests for visitors or passengers coming from China. Okay, but in the US has become the latest country to impose COVID testing on visitors from China after Beijing announced it will reopen borders next week. Now, Italy, Japan, Taiwan, and India also announced mandatory tests, but Australia and UK said there were no new rules for travelers for or from China. After 3 years of Beijing closed to the world, China will let people travel more freely from the 8th of January, but the country's ongoing COVID surge has sparked worriness. Now, China is reporting about 5,000 cases a day, but analysts say such numbers are vastly undercounted, and the daily case load may be closer to 1 million. Hospitals are overwhelmed. The residents are struggling to find basic medicines, according to reports. On Wednesday, the US said a lack of adequate, transparent COVID data in China had contributed to the decision to require COVID tests from the 5th of January from travelers entering the country from China, Hong Kong, and Macau. Well, it's all coming your way from Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Now, Iran flight PS752 calls on Iran to settle dispute over downing of Ukraine jets. A group of 4 countries led by Canada have requested that Iran submit to arbitration to settle a dispute over its shooting down of a Ukrainian jet. Ukraine International Airlines flight PS752 was hit by 2 missiles after taking off from Tehran on the 8th of January 2020. All 176 people on board died. 3 days later, Iran admitted mistakenly shooting down the plane. Now, the group made up of Canada, Sweden, Ukraine, and the UK said it was taking concrete action against Iran. The 4 nations have been seeking reparations on behalf of the families of the victims, many of whom were citizens or residents of those countries. Now, they accuse Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps of having unlawfully and intentionally launched 2 surface-to-air missiles at the jet. This all coming your way from Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Well, there is a protest in Bolivia, as I did say. Well, let me bring that your way. Violent protests have broken out in Bolivia following the arrest of the powerful opposition politician Luis Fernando Camacho. The right-wing governor of Santa Cruz province was detained by armed police in an operation that his supporters said it resembles a kidnapping. Mr. Camacho spearheaded the protests, which led to the resignation of left-wing former president Evo Morales. The governor is one of the most divisive politicians in Bolivia. From his power base in Santa Cruz, Bolivia's wealthiest province, he has led lengthy and disruptive protests against the current left-wing government of the Luis Arce, as well as the former president Evo Morales. The state attorney's office said Mr. Camacho, 43, was arrested as part of an investigation into the event which led to the President Morales' departure from office in 2019, which is described as a coup d'etat. An arrest warrant issued in October says he is facing charges of terrorism without giving further details. Oh, you can give a dog a bad name and hang it. Yeah, I say you charge you with terrorism, whatever, and then you have to come to the court and have your day in court. Oh my, oh my, oh my. Well, this one will, this story will either make your heart jump or you will cringe. But U.S. energy giant ExxonMobil is suing the EU in a bid to force the bloc to scrap its new windfall tax on oil firms. A windfall tax is imposed on firms that benefited from something they were not responsible for. Energy firms are getting much more money for either oil and gas, partly due to supply concerns as a result of Russia's invasion of Ukraine. But Exxon accuses Brussels of exceeding its legal authority, calling the measure counterproductive. ExxonMobil reported a quarterly profit almost of $20 billion in October. With a windfall tax on oil and gas companies, in September, European Commission Chief Ursula von der Leyen announced the plan for major oil, gas, and coal companies to pay a crisis contribution on their increased 2022 profits. A 33% tax on this year's profits was announced, which were more than 20% higher than the average for the 3 previous years. But Exxon argues that the levy discourages investment and undermines investor confidence in a challenge filed at the EU Luxembourg-based General Court. Now, whether we invest here primarily depends on how attractive and globally competitive Europe will be. Now, Exxon's spokesperson Casey Norton told some news agency in an investor meeting earlier this month, ExxonMobil chief financial officer estimated that the EU tax will cost the group over $2 billion. Now, the European Commission said it takes note of Exxon's legal application and said that it will be now up to the General Court to rule on this case, the Financial Times has reported. Well, it is all coming your way from Starr Radio UK. Final story this time around from the UK front, and then we bring the program to close. this pertains to the strikes. Now, ministers are refusing to negotiate on pay, says the union body. The Trades Union Congress has accused the government of refusing to negotiate on public sector pay. Its new General Secretary Paul Nowak has suggested in an interview that ministers were using pay review bodies as a human shield in negotiation. There has been widespread strike action in recent months as prices have soared, but the government has said if public sector wages rose in line with the cost of living, it will lead to worsening debt, leaving everyone poorer. Now, they continue to say, Mr. Nowak argued that the independent pay review bodies were going into negotiations with their hands tied by the government. The pay review bodies process itself is in danger of being brought into disrepute because the government is hiding behind the pay review bodies, refusing to negotiate on pay and refusing to reach a reasonable settlement with our public sector unions, he said. A government spokesperson said, we have been reasonable in our approach to agreeing to the independent pay review bodies recommendation for public sector pay rises. But that was before the Russian invasion of Ukraine and the high cost of living and all the interest and everything, rising as if it's been rocketed. But, well, government say, yeah, you know what? It's not us. The pay review body that did that, they've negotiated that with you. They came out with that. This is a good payment that we have to give to you. But what do you think? Do you get less pay? And then you are squeezed to that point where you don't know what to do. And what happens next? Well. Listeners, this is where I bring the program to a close for today. But tomorrow, I'll be coming your way with a final program before the end of year 2022. And then that will usher us into the year 2023. But it's been a pleasure coming your way, wherever you might be or wherever you might be listening to me from. And I say have a blessed afternoon. And I'll be catching up with you tomorrow, God willing. But let's enjoy this song from Stephen Marley. And it says, The Babylon System. Enjoy that. And I be with you. Okay, that will be after this quick commercial break. Just stay tuned. My producer says there should be the commercial break before we go away. Stay tuned.
Make that move now, this festive season, to your new home address at GHS Housing Estates. From now to 31st January 2023, we are offering you an amazing 5% buyer's discount on all purchases on our expandable 1, 2, 3 and 4 bedroom detached homes at Cochrane Villa, Pokwase, just 5 minutes drive from the interchange. The Mayflower and the new Hazel Courts at Kuntusi, 20 minutes drive from Achimotamo. Beautiful homes in a serene and gated community with flexible payment plans available. Call us now on 0544 347 980 or 0544 347 981. GHS Housing Estates. View it, love it, own it.
What you wanted us to be. We are.
This is Starr Radio UK.
That's the way it's going to be.
Thanks for listening.
You can't educate us.
Thanks for listening.
Equal opportunity. Talking about my freedom.
Okay, so when a song ends from one of the offsprings, let me put it that way, sons of the late Bob Marley, this time around from Stephen Marley, says Babylon System refuse to be what they want us to be. We want to be ourselves, don't we? All right then. So have a lovely afternoon. Be yourself, but make sure that whatever thing that you do, you know that you are accountable. You know that?
System is wrong.